Welcome to Conversations with Educators. I'm your host, Jerome Ellison, and today I have a special guest, Rahz Slaughter. Thank you, Rahz, for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jerome, for having me. I'm excited, my man.
Thank you. Thank you. So I like to start with a quick game. It's called pass or fail, right? So I give you two options and you tell me which one you prefer, and that one passes. The other one just has to fail. All right. So,
Gotcha.
so public schools or charter schools? Which one passes?
Public school, pass.
Okay. Okay. In-person learning or remote learning?
Absolutely in person.
Mhm. LeBron James or Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan all day.
Beyonce or Michelle Obama?
Michelle Obama,
Mhm. Math or science?
science.
Why Michelle Obama over Beyonce?
Wow, great question. Both are amazing women, and I respect both of them. But if I had to say someone I'd want to sit down and have a meal with, it's definitely Michelle Obama, simply for the fact that my wife read her book. I've also perused the book, and I just think the conversation would just be amazing. Just the way the process she had to go through, getting into Princeton, working her way through, overcoming obstacles throughout her life. I just think the conversation would be amazing, and I'd love to have that opportunity.
Nice, nice. All right, so let's get right to it. When did you decide that you want to work with educators or become an educator, and why?
Sure. The short is really, I struggled in high school. I struggled in school, and I feel the school failed me a little bit. Being someone who was dyslexic and having reading challenges throughout my life, I didn't read a book until I was 22 years old, completely through, because I mispronunciated all the words, which lowered my comprehension. I went to a very good school to be blessed, but they were pushing me through the process to keep their numbers where they needed to be rather than address the situation that it was happening. So I got into it because I looked at myself as a 13-year-old boy and said, why was I struggling? What, as an African American in this country where education should be at the peak, why is it so hard? And I had a former business, and I always wanted to really inspire and motivate others to see the importance of education, as I have it with self-education now. So I see it as a platform and an opportunity for me to inspire and motivate other, just men of color as well as minorities who are in a set who don't have the resources to see the opportunities that education can give them.
I love that. I love that. If you had a chance to give, if you had a chance to give a parent a parent some advice on how they can help support their child's education, what do you think parents can do to be more supportive?
Wow. I think parents are doing the best they can from where they are. We can't sit here and judge anyone, but what I do believe is that in order for a parent to lead, they must lead from the front. If they want their children to do something, they must be willing to do it as well. So we can't tell our kids to go get good grades, to study, to read, if we're not reading, if we're not building a library. So I say the first thing they could do is build their own resources so that now they can actually utilize some of the skills and the things that they've learned to impact and inspire their children to want to understand and learn more.
I love that. I love that. How about for teachers? What can you tell teachers? I know you work with teachers and educators, right? So what's one thing that you try to help them know or understand to help push them to actually support children better?
So this is two. First is, again, I always believe in leading from the front. So you have to be that type of understanding that learning, there's no such thing as just failing. You fail forward. You have to understand, as an educator, there's kids that are going to learn differently. So if they put the effort in, award the effort, not just the grade. And the second thing is being open-minded. I mean, the language we choose to use to instruct, to teach, has to be dialed in. You can label a child so early and they start to believe and create negative beliefs about what you told them. You're not smart. You're not this. And that kid takes that persona on and takes it throughout their lives. So we have to be cautious of the words we use, whether it be, oh, you're dyslexic, whether you're slow learning, whether you're on this track, not letting kids, or you're at this top of your class. It's important that we see that all kids have unique opportunities and gifts. And we as teachers, educators, influencers of teens, we have the ability to inspire them through our words, and we have to choose those words wisely.
Words are definitely powerful. And I think as an educator, half the battle is confidence, right? A lot of students who have that confidence are willing to take risks. Those are the ones who ask questions in class. Those are the ones who, do their best and push themselves because they believe that they can achieve. And when we lower the confidence of our students, then their possibilities start to be limited because they don't see themselves as being able to reach their full potential. So I think that's a great point. Great point. So if you had a chance to make one change, that's the biggest change you think needs to be made in the education system, what would that change be and why?
I think the first thing is that we need to find a way to get more men of color, women of color into the education world. And the reason I say that is that it's very difficult, and not knocking anybody who's in the education market. I applaud you. You're doing so great. But if I came from where I came from, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. Sometimes we had electricity. I had to run a extension cord outside to get electricity, ramen noodles. If you're going back to the suburbs and you wonder why my homework isn't done, but you don't understand where I come from, it's a little harder for us to connect. So I really feel like if we were going to change the education, we have to open our mind to whom is doing some of this teaching, create more opportunities so that we have more diversity amongst education. This will allow kids of color, minorities, Spanish, all of the different, see the people that they go, oh, wow, I've never seen anyone like her or him. I can do this. When you only see the opposite, it's very difficult because you know that they don't understand where you really come from. And that's a real big thing I personally have seen in education, and is why I'm pushing so hard to kind of create some differences.
I love that. So when I think about like getting more Black and brown educators, especially, and also men specifically in the field, I think about two things, right? I think about a lot of us actually go to pursue degrees in education, one, and also the ones who join and become educators, often there's a high turnover rate, higher than other groups of people. What do you think contributes to those? How can we address that?
These are great questions, Jerome. I mean, I don't have the answers. It's my opinion. So any of the viewers, I don't want them to think that I'm preaching at any chance. I mean, I really believe that, the turnover rate in education, one of the things is that they're just not rewarded. It's a hard job. You're taking someone's child who has beliefs and values and programming, and you're trying to impart your knowledge on them. And it's not easy. And some of them just don't have the resources. I mean, you need to have psychology. You need to have the ability to connect with kids on different levels. So I think that you have to, increase pay. We're going to get more talent when you get more reward. At the end of the day, if you can go out and get a job making 6 figures doing something a lot easier, and you're not going to get the pushback from the administrators, from the principals, from the government, from the counties. It's so hard. We don't get to teach. We teach to a book or grade or curriculum today. And that's why kids are not learning. The kids are not, they come back from this pandemic, and I get to work with a lot of teens right now, and they're bored. They're apathetic about education. Why is that? The main reason is that we're not inspiring them. Like, how does this pertain to this? How does like math pertain to my cell phone? Let's talk about that so that they can see an opportunity. And the turnover is just that, we have to find ways to not push our teachers away, but empower them to show that their creativity. I believe that teachers, I have a very close friend of mine who was a New York City educator for 10 plus years. And he got written up all the time. And he was always consistently getting reprimanded because, you know what? He looked at the student and he saw the student for the prize. The student was the individual that he needed to make an impact on. And it didn't matter if he was staying to his curriculum or not. And they didn't like that. And he thought outside the box. So we got to let teachers think outside the box, find ways that they truly can connect with the students rather than just say, oh, you got an A, you got a B. Because we know when they leave those 4 walls, the real world isn't going to just be that easy for them.
Powerful. I love that. Piggybacking on that, right? So let's try to identify someone who did that for you, right? So I want you to give a shout out to one teacher who had a positive impact on your life, who saw you for who you were, who was just different and special, who you still think about to this day. So who would that teacher be? And tell us, give them a shout out and tell us why.
Absolutely. I remember I had a history teacher. His name is Matthew Haig at the Wheatley School in Long Island, New York. And it was one of those classes where he looked at me and he said, Rahz, you know what? He goes, no matter what you're doing in all the other classes, you're going to get an A in this class. And he said, you're going to get an A because I believe that you have the potential to be an A student. And he goes, and every day I knew that when I walked in there, his expectations for me were here, not here. Although my grade said I was here, he had a new set of expectations for me, and I played to those expectations, and I did really well in his class. And now I could instantly feel a teacher's energy from how they felt about who I was. Were they just looking at the report and saying, oh, this is what the student is, or this is who he is? And I'm going to help make him what he can become. So Matt Haig was really someone who I can respect. And I have to say, I was blessed to have a lot of great people in my life at a young age. And I still think about them often. And they inspire me to want to do this type of work today.
I love that. I love that. Shout out to Matt Haig. Matt Haig, that's the teacher, wherever you are. Thank you for your work. Thank you, Rahz. That's all. I appreciate your time. Shared so much great feedback. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate you.
Jerome, thank you for all you do, man. I really do appreciate you having me here and interviewing me this afternoon. And hopefully that this makes an impact and we can continue to work together. Have a great day, my friend.
Excellent. Actually, thank you guys for watching. Stay blessed. And remember, education over everything. Bye.